Yeah, add it to both sides. Okay, so we got just like we did last time. So if you weren't here, you're actually really lucky because we're kind of hitting up quadratic formula again in a way. I forgot about this. I was going to go right into the review and the quiz, and I forgot we need to talk about this a little bit more. So what order are they going to go in? I might need to put it up a little bit more.
4b squared plus
Do you guys see my cool desk? I don't think it goes up anymore though. I think it's stuck. Oh, wrong button. Hold on, you gotta like really like, I want it to be too tall for me. Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Hey.
I know, it's kind of nice. That's perfect. I don't want to like be hunching over. So it's got to go in the middle. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you guys see it okay? Do I need to zoom in more? If I can't see it, thumbs down. Nope. Okay. All right. So we got to plug it into our formula. If you need the formula, I can write it one more time, but you know, you can always write it on a sticky so you don't have to rewrite it 17 times, right? So x equals -1. Do you guys know what the first letter is you plug in on it? B. Yep. I was just seeing who might have had it memorized potentially, but you don't have to memorize it. It is B first. It's kind of a royal pain to write it out a million times, not for me, but for you guys. So maybe put it on a sticky that you can just move from paper to paper. And I am going to write them up on the board, so you're good. All right, so what is our B value? Yep, so you might want to write yourself a note like A equals 4, B equals 5, C equals 2. All right, and then what about underneath the radical thing? Glasses so I can actually see when you guys participate. Ooh, I don't know if I have enough space. I'm gonna make it work.
5 squared minus 4 times 4 times 2.
Is that okay if I have to write on the other problem a little bit?
All over 2 times 5.
Like that? Okay. So just like yesterday, right? This is the same thing as we did yesterday for the most part. Yeah, I'm gonna switch over to some water.
On the bottom.
Oh, shoot. What did I do?
4.
Let's say, wait a minute. What?
Oh, I totally did that just to see if you guys were, you know.
Totally.
Actually,
I
take
totally
attention.
believe you.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. No, sometimes I do mess up, but I kind of do it on purpose sometimes. I didn't do it that time on purpose. So good catch, Ashlyn. Very
If you're gonna
nice.
mess up on purpose, you can do it.
I'd be a little more obvious about it.
Or you do it marker.
I usually wouldn't mess up this early because I don't want to confuse people. So I'm sorry, guys. That was my bad. That was my bad. So far, does it look familiar, like what we just been doing? Are we good on it? I was like, help her stay focused. You can focus with music and during notes. You sure? Okay. I just want to make sure, especially for my people missed yesterday, that they can get right back on where we left off. Okay, so what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do first?
The stuff under the little bar thingy.
Do you want to plug that all just into your calculator and see what you get? Would that be easier for you guys? Oh, okay. Okay. Did you say that, Tay? Was that you? You got a -800. So go ahead and type it in, guys, and make sure we all get the same thing. And I'll check too. It's not that I don't trust you. I want to make sure they all know how to type it in.
I got
Yeah, you definitely got this. So when we type in our calculator, let's go like 5 and make sure it's in parentheses and then squared. You guys all comfortable with the little squared button? It's the one that says x squared. Okay. -4 parentheses. What was in there? 4 and 2. So it should look like this when you type it in. This is a minus button, not a negative. So if you put the negative, it'll like not work out. Oh, okay. What I think happened is you put a negative instead of minus. That happens, yeah. So you can do it like all at the same time if you want to, and it does turn out a negative under the radical. So these are gonna have one extra step. It's really a small step and you're gonna be like, oh, that's easy. If you struggled yesterday though, I understand if it's gonna be a little tricky in the beginning. Anyone know what to do with these numbers up here and down here? Multiply them, good, okay. What do you get when you multiply them? Was that you, Mac? Yep, 8, good. Anybody got the other one? Anybody? Mhm. All right. Good work. That's you. Very nice. So typically this would be our answer because 7 doesn't have square root, right? Like there's no number times a number that equals 7. So there's one extra little step, and all you have to do is, since we can't take square roots of negative, does anyone have an idea? Ideas? Nope. Even easier than that. So I'll tell you why it works in a second, but for those of you who just like to, you know, get it done, don't care about why it works. You make the negative into a positive. And then if you do that step, you have to put an I, which means it's an imaginary solution. So that tells everybody that it's a fake solution.
Oh, God.
Well, that's all you have to do. If it's negative, make it positive and put an I. But if you want to know why it works, there's a mathematical rule to it. So for those of you guys that are more like into that, I don't want to call it nerdy stuff like me, but if you are.
We studied imaginary numbers for a whole week.
We only do them for next week. We'll talk about like operations with imaginary, but it's not that hard, I promise. We stick to what you need to know for here. Yeah.
Take off the thingy and put the I in front.
Oh, you can put the I here or you can put it in front.
You take off
The radical.
yeah.
So you still want to leave the radical, but I've seen people write it like this. And maybe this is what you've seen. You can write it like this as well. So like my answer keys have it written like this, but I want people to know I'll take it either way. The reason, well, does anyone know the reason before I spoil it for you? You're like, I don't really care what the reason is. You said make it positive, put an I, I'm cool with it. But if you want to know the reason why, if you must, I imaginary number, the first one that was ever like invented or made up is the square root of -1. And so if you have the square root of 7 times the square root of -1, that just means that this is 7i. So that's how it's invented. But you can just remember if it's negative under the radical, just make it positive and put I to symbolize that it's imaginary. That's easier. I was talking to Miss Josie, but I was like, well, I want to explain to them where it came from. She's like, they probably won't care, to be honest. They probably just want to know. And I'm like, oh, okay. But that's the only extra step you have to do. Sometimes this has a square root though. So let me see if there's one that has a square root that we can do. You guys probably didn't work ahead completely to see one with a square root yet. This worksheet is called Discriminant. Let's see. Let me find one that simplifies. I think that's, oh, that one doesn't have the answers. Does it? No, this is one.
So for number 2, I got number 2.
Yeah, of course. I wanted to pull up my answer key to make sure we do enough variety, but I wanted to tell you one thing we missed. Do you see how it says state the number of solutions? So if you have to put an I, it's too imaginary because it technically, if it's a graph, it never hits the x-intercepts. So the 2 x-intercepts are imaginary. So you would just write like 2 imaginary somewhere on here, which I'm just going to fit it down here. I can't remember if I asked you to do that on the quiz, but if you may have to make it a positive and have to put an I, just remember 2 imaginary. So if you were looking at a graph, it would never hit the x-axis ever. So instead of being 0 x-intercepts, it's 2 imaginary. Because somebody just decided to make up imaginary numbers. Don't ask me who, it wasn't me. I just work here. It's like someone asking why a certain sandwich doesn't have a certain thing on you. I go, I just work here. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Number 2, you don't move B. So you make a B by putting it as 0A.
Yep. You guys feel okay on that one? Do you, other than just the -1 thing being a little wonky? Just a little hard. I like the word wonky. Anybody want to try number 2, or do you want me to just do another one? Just make sure you want to try it. You can try it.
No,
Oh, you just had a question on it?
no, I don't like doing it there.
Oh, you want to walk me through it? Okay, cool. I'm fine with it. So just because I wrote over the problem, let me rewrite it. I'm okay staying up here because then when I
Oh,
can
number 2, I can
just
just
kick it. Oh, you can do that one with me next. I wanted to do one like that anyways. I don't even know why I did the ones on the. I'm so hilarious. Yeah, you can. I just realized something. I didn't read the question. It said find the discriminant. So if it says find the discriminant is just the number that's under the square root. I am so sorry. You didn't. I didn't read. Goodness gracious, Miss Amanda. Didn't. Well, why don't you catch me if you knew that? Did anyone know that?
No.
Oh. So you technically didn't have to put the I. You just had to identify what the discriminant was. I'm so sorry, guys, but now we know how to do the bottom. That's exciting. So the discriminant is just the number that's under the square root, even before you make it positive. Like, so my apologies. I went way too far with that. So sorry, but now you know how to do the ones on the bottom. If it says find the discriminant, you only have to find the number that's under the radical without the I. So what was it before we put the I there? Yep. So it's 2 imaginary and -7. That's the answer. I am so sorry about that. See, I'm making all kinds of mistakes. That's how you know it's a Thursday. We did so much extra. Yeah. You guys are doing great though. I'm sorry. I didn't. So you only have to do the part that's under the radical. So if you look up here, what's the part that's, guys, stay with me. You're doing great. And then I promise I'll give you some time to, when you come back from lunch, to do your personal sharing question and all that. But I want to make sure you're ready for the quiz. Okay. So this is the last thing I had to cover. So if you look under the radical, this is the discriminant. Okay. That you only have to do that part. So my apologies. I think Ashley's gonna be mad at me when she comes back. She's gonna be like, great. I only had to do that part. My apologies. So if I only have to do this part, can someone help me find it? If it's just this part under the radical, how would I plug this stuff in? Well, what's your A?
3.
And what's your B?
-3.
Ooh, is there a B in here actually?
No.
Because that's a, yeah, that's a constant. Yeah, this is A. B is 0. Someone asked about this earlier. If there's no number in the middle, you add a 0, just like we did with factoring. So yeah, every time you have an equation, remember it's ABC, the C is always a constant and there's no number in the middle, so you got to put a 0. And things aren't always in the right order. It's like a puzzle. Okay, the pieces are not always in the right order. You got to make sure they're correct. Oh, hold up. C is -3. So A is 3, B is 0, C is -3. So remember, we are only finding this part. A little bit too much chatting for my double tables. We might have to go back to single tables. That means you just sit one at a time, one at a chair.
No.
I don't want to have to do it, but I don't want to also have to tell you guys to be quiet 500 times a day. It gets kind of annoying, to be honest. Okay, so 3, 0, and -3. Does everyone feel comfortable putting the 0 in there? I heard a question about it, and I want to make sure it made sense. But if I like explain something, answer someone's question, and then we're just talking over it, it doesn't help that person, right? So just don't be surprised on Monday when we're all sitting individual and I have to get rid of my student tables. Just don't be surprised about it. All right, so Tay, I'm really sorry. When you were in the restroom, I discovered we only have to find this part. So we have to do b squared minus 4ac. So what would you plug in for the b? Anybody who wants to, yeah, 0. So we have 0 squared. Okay, what are you gonna plug in for the a, Matt?
Huh?
Yeah, when you guys are chatting, I'm just gonna start calling on you.
You said, I didn't know what you said though.
Yeah, I know. What are you gonna plug in for the a?
3 for A,
Yep.
and then -3 for C.
Okay, there we go. There we go. See, so much easier when we're all in this together. Okay, so how would I work that out? Can I do that all in my calculator at the same time to make life easier?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's all plug that in our calculator and see what we get. Take a minute, plug it in, probably 30 seconds. It shouldn't take too long. Plug it in the calculator. See what you get, and I will check it. You guys plug it in?
36.
I got you.
Okay, that's right. Make sure you're using a minus button or a subtraction button, not a minus button.
Yep, okay, I got it.
Yeah, because if you, did anybody get, let me try it the way you guys just did it, the ones that got a different answer. Did anybody get 0? That means you put the,
I pushed
yep.
some button.
see, but you realize it, and that's perfect. Ashley, you're gonna kill me. Everyone went to the restroom right after I explained the first one. The discriminant is just this part under the radical. So when you do the problems 1 through 6, it says find the discriminant. You only have to find that little part under the radical.
So you did the whole thing instead?
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry about that. So my apologies. My apologies. If it's a positive number and you don't have any negatives, all you have to write is, so this is the discriminant. And how many solutions do you guys think it has? It's either 2 imaginary, which we just had when it was negative. Do you guys think it's 2 imaginary? Is that number negative? Is that number, no. So it's not 2 imaginary. If it's 0, it's 1 real. So that means it hits the x-axis 1 time. So it's like a graph that barely hits it and comes back up. If it's positive and not 0, it's 2 real solutions. You don't have to draw this, but if I had a graph, it's a graph that goes through the x-axis at 2 spots. Pretty much, if it has, you think so?
Yes.
Well, if you don't want to memorize it,
Especially since number 2 actually has answers.
yeah, it's true. It's true. It does have answers. Well, you could solve it and go further because some problems like the bottom ones say solve, right? But you don't have to solve it. If it just asks for the discriminant, you just say what's the number that's under the square root sign. If it's positive, it's 2 real. If it's negative, it's 2 imaginary. And then if it's 0, it's 1 real. And so that would be a graph that only hits at 1 time, just once. So there's one other type, which is the one we just talked about, if it's equals 0 under the radical. So why do you think it'd be one real solution if it's a 0 under the radical? This is kind of a tricky question, so I didn't know if anyone would know. What's the square root of 0?
0.
0. And if you add or subtract 0 to a number, is it just one answer or are there two answers? So think of like 7 plus 0 and 7 minus 0. I think you got it right. What did you say?
2 answers? 1 answer.
One answer. Yep. So if you get a discriminant of 0, you would only have one final answer. So you would only have one root. So you can memorize it this way. I don't have a lot of space on here to write it, but towards the bottom, if it helps you to make a little note, if it's a positive under the radical, maybe just write this down if you're a little bit confused. This might help you. If it's a positive, it's 2 real. If it's a negative, it's 2 what? What do we call that? It's got the I, 2 imaginary. Very good, Michael. Awesome. And if it's 0, Mac just told us what it was. If it's 0, what is it? I need a different color pen because you know me. It's 1. Perfect. Good job, Sean. If it's a 0 under the radical, which is neither positive or negative, it's 1 real. So why don't you guys jot that down somewhere so you have it? It's my pen. It's out of my hand now, but it's okay. It's fine. 1 real. Hopefully you can still read it. I like sparkly pens, but they just bleed a little bit. It's kind of weird. Yeah.
If you have a 0 under the radical, can you just leave it?
Yeah, if it asks you to solve, you can take the square root of 0 and it's 0. But if it's asking for the discriminant, you just write 0. It's a good question. I like that you asked really good questions. That's really nice. That's a shout out for Jade. I like that. You guys got that little note down that might help you out. This is really the last thing that is on the little quiz. So I think we need a little bit of review on how to get them set up. I think you guys know how to solve them once you have it set up, but just correct me if I'm wrong. Like, does that resonate with anyone? Like, I know how to solve it once it's set up. Thumbs up for anybody. I know how to do it once it's set up. Okay. Anybody like, I know how to set it up, but I don't know how to solve it. Okay. Anybody like, I know how to do both. I'm getting comfortable with it. Anybody like, I'm kind of completely lost on these still, and that's okay too. Just a little bit of both. If you were gone yesterday, I would imagine you just need a little bit more practice. So maybe Mac would be a good one to work with. Do you guys want Jade to do number 3, and then I'll let you work on the review a little bit early before lunch? Sound good? Okay. I personally, I skip a lot of stuff because I'm trying to make sure we cover everything in time. I'm making our worksheets a little shorter next week, just because I was like, I don't need to waste so much paper if we don't get to everything. But yeah, so they won't be as long. All right, let's wrap up on number 3, and then I'm gonna give you time to practice on your review. And if you need extra help, I'll post this little video too, so you got it. All right, let's give our respect to Jade. And if you can't, just go ahead and separate and sit there. Just ask yourself, what are my limitations? All right, go for it. You got this.
So I moved over the negative x squared.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
So it's b minus x squared negative, well, minus 6x plus.
Perfect.
What is going on with your egg?
Oh, you can't see it, can
Oh,
you?
there we go.
Is that, I'll switch to a different color. Sorry about that. I love those pens for grading, and I forget I can't write under here. Thanks for letting me know, Mac, that we can see it.
Moved it, you can see it now.
It's gonna glare as I go further down. So do you guys know why she moved, instead of moving everything to the left like we did yesterday, why she thought maybe it might be easier to move. Okay, yeah, so you can choose, like, it doesn't matter, you either move to the right or the left. But just get everything on one side with these problems. Is that?
You want me to set up the whole thing or just under?
Since we're finding the discriminant, we're just gonna do the b squared minus 4ac.
So it's, I thought you had to get them all to the left.
Oh, so does anyone want to say the right left thingy? Does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter because 0 doesn't matter.
Yep, so you can choose. Does anybody want, like maybe Ashlyn, why don't you move everything to left and we'll see if you get the same answer as us, just to confirm that it works. That's a good idea.
Well, it's already doing, so.
Perfect, and you keep doing it that way, and anyone else who's already set up their problem like that, go ahead and see what you get. Yeah.
So it's -6 squared
Mhm.
minus 4 times multiplied by 1 and 9. And then I do the radical and then I do the 3 number second multiplied.
Oh, so you do these multiplied first?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's cool. Correct, yeah. But you're not taking the square root, you just have to write what you get. Mhm. All right, what did you get when you multiplied those three? Well, she's doing it step by step, but you got it right. Good questions, though.
Negative is positive, so it's positive.
Great. Good explanation on that, because a lot of people are getting confused on that squaring and negative. Yeah. So you can see that Ashley and Jade and Michael do their step by step, and other people like it in the calculator, like Ivy, Mac, and Sean, and it works out just fine, right?
What's really
Yeah.
happening is, what's a negative number times a negative number? It's always gonna be a positive.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same with a squared negative number.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Actually, who was it? Sorry to call you guys out, but it's in a good way. I was looking at Ariante's paper and he actually just knows that this is automatically going to be positive. So he just always writes down a positive number squared. So he doesn't mess it up in his calculator. So I really like that idea. Sorry, I'm going to steal that from you. But so if you want, you could just make this number positive every time. That was really cool. That was good. I like that you all show your work or use the calculator. Just find the way that works for you. It's one real solution when it's 0. And you don't have to solve it because it just says find the discriminant. If it says to solve it, you have to see if it's negative and you have to put that I there if it is. That was the one thing I had to make sure you knew. Do you guys need to solve any on the bottom? Maybe just, I know Ivy's starting to really catch on to it. Does anyone new want to try one with me and just make sure they're really comfortable?
Are we gonna do any on the worksheet or are we gonna go straight to the
The review has, I was gonna see how the review is going and how many questions people have. The review's only 7 questions. So the way I was thinking about it is sometimes you guys work with a partner, but both partners might not know what they're, how do I say this politely? If I work with a partner on something I don't know what I'm doing, and that person doesn't know what they're doing, we don't get very far. But if I work with someone like, let's say I work with Ashley, who's really getting this stuff, we're gonna get this done. And I'm not just gonna copy, I'm gonna ask her, hey, can you show me that? Like how you did that? Like it's 7 questions, it doesn't take too long. If you can do this, you can do the quiz and get like 100%. And I'm gonna give you all the formulas on it. I wanted to let you use this, but I was discouraged from letting you use notes on every single quiz and that it isn't really fair, but I will give you all the formulas, okay? It's not fair to the other math teachers that are not doing it. It doesn't really honor the integrity of the quiz. So if you're not ready and you're doing the review today, go ahead and come in tomorrow and take the quiz with Miss Josie. It's 10 to 12. She knows, she's very nice, but she knows my policy for grading. So what do you think Miss Josie does if you have to ask a question? She explains it with the review and then you go to the quiz like we did, Mac, you and I did on Friday, right? Now, she's not gonna just help you through the quiz. If she does that, she's gonna, if you like, honestly don't have the confidence for the quiz yet, don't take it. Say, Miss Josie, I'm not ready. I just need to review more. You need to be able to do this on your own. I have a student who always asks me questions, even though I tell her she has to do it on her own in geometry. I just make a lot of marks on there. So if she asks me a million questions, it's already down to a 50%. So that's her choice, right? And then she's gonna have to retake it. So you have to have the confidence in yourself, right? That's the big piece. If you don't have that confidence, don't take it yet. But yeah, it's got a little bit of everything we've been doing. Graphing, writing equations, quad formula. Yeah. So I want to make sure you guys know how to really feel confident in quad formula, but before we go on break, so let's do these two and then I'll have two people show them, okay? I know like Ashley and Michael have done a lot of the problems today. So someone new, and Jade, if someone else wants to do one, I'm pretty sure Mac, Ivy, both you feel comfortable now, and Taylor, I know we were feeling comfortable yesterday, so it's up to you. I know some of you are like, no, heck no, would I ever go up there? Anxiety, I get it. I struggle with that too, and it's taken me time to get really comfortable. So why don't you guys try setting them up? These ones are gonna solve. So you're gonna use the whole formula. You want me to keep it up there for you? So this whole thing, you're gonna use the whole thing. All right, let's make it happen. Let's try those two. So we have time to put them up there. Those bottom two. I know that you guys have already done some, but I'm just gonna have to do these bottom two. And then if anyone
So
wants to do it on the board,
Those are
check.
as quadratic formula,
Yep.
or is it going to be
The
the
whole,
real or?
the whole quad formula.
Right.
Yep, if it says quad formula, use the whole quad formula.
I'm still a little confused.
Oh, you're
on the
okay.
Real and not. Because that's what but I'll go ahead.
Oh, you're
and do
okay.
those and do the
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, sure, we can do that. Yeah. You're really starting to get it when you. Something's building with math here with you. All right, but is it, are you feeling like it's making a little bit more sense?
It's starting to, yeah.
Yeah, good thing is these lessons go together.
Yeah.
So. You have to use the whole formula to. You want to use that? Okay with it? I don't make it skip to the bottom. I feel like you understand. You just want to see how to use the whole quadratic formula like you did for. Everybody can share your idea. I really like that you do that. It's a lot of confusion. You did the quad formula yesterday, right? You guys felt okay on the quad formula yesterday? Yeah. Okay. Do you want a little word? To work the problems out on so you have more space? No? Okay, I'll just check. Just check. If you guys want to work together and then bottom to go through. Okay. How you feeling, Ruben? You good? Yeah. Awesome. You're doing great. This is perfect. Yeah, of course, of course. Do you want me to grab you one now for this one if you go off the paper? I try to leave more room on the quiz for stuff, but yeah, when you plug that in, just know you don't need your k squared and your k.
Okay.
If it helps you when you plug it in, just know when you go to multiply it, you won't multiply k squared because
Okay.
you probably won't be able to enter that in the calculator. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, what's that? What's that? You got it. Oh, I left it on the top.
This is the plus or minus sign in front of there. And then since it has a negative from the radical, you make it positive and put it on. Ooh, number 7's good. Number 7's a good problem. So if it has a square root, you can make it like 2i. And then have some- So like 4 square root of 4. Or what number times itself is 4. So your final answer would be 6 plus or minus 2i. You just leave the I there. Yep. Number 7 has a little tricky ending, so make sure you got it.
Do I keep this?
Oh, no square. Yeah, just squared on the first number. Yep, everything else looks good. Yep, that was a good question.
Thank you.
The 5 should go right next to it, or is it a negative 5, positive 5?
Possibly.
Okay, yeah, there you go. The ending is a little tricky on that one, but if you stop when it's a square root, yeah, make it a positive word, put your I. 6K. It's gonna go in the middle. There's no line. All of the problems. A and C.
Is this right?
If you get to the last step and it has like a 4, then you're doing that.
Well, I got a -4.
Yes. You got it. For positive.
Okay, yeah, that's what I did.
So one other small thing you can do. This 4 has a square root.
Right. You see that?
No, I didn't show you that yet, so that's good. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, good. So now, once you have it set up, you always want it in this order with the K in the middle, K squared in the front. That's how you know it's in the right one.
Don't make me hurt.
Try square root of positive 4, so you know the positive. And then,
So I just keep that in negative, right?
Right, got it, yes. So now, when you get to the step, this square root of 4 is to the right. If I don't answer this, and then choose the I.
All the.
I mean, you have it right. There's one small thing on the end. Yep. Because we know that we can't combine those because they're not like terms, right? Yep.
Yeah, I'm used to like what you want.
Here, I already set it up. Assistant teacher, very good. Show them a little step. This comes out of -4, right? Did it?
Oh, sorry, I'm really into this.
When it has a negative, you make it a positive. Yep. Yep. And you put the I either front or behind, and then this 4 has square root. Yep. So your final answer is -6 plus or minus. You did a great job. And then just keep the I with the 2. That way you know you can provide just that's your final answer.
I don't have to do it the other way. Okay, 6 minus.
Well, you would put your minus sign underneath of it, because these aren't like terms, you can't combine them, so that's not. Good job. Oh, you did that one already too?
And then,
No,
nice.
That was perfect, so make that a positive and put an I out there. And then that one doesn't have square root. Yep, that's perfect.
Yeah, once I get it right now.
Finish some stuff. So I was telling them that it's negative, go ahead and say positive and put I on the outside. You can use a different color if you want, or just write it to the.
So this is right.
I and then square root.
Oh, yeah, no.
has a square root, you can make that a 2. You can do like -6. It's not probably the reverse order. We'll like make it 2i instead of I2. So like, remember that, you know, square root is 2, right? So you have to do -6 plus or minus 2. I.
Or at least.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, actually, you just make sure they know how to do the I thing instead and you can't take the square root of the negative, so you have to put I to symbolize as a spacer.
But that one's not negative.
It was positive because it has an I. So as long as you write the letter I, you can make it positive.
Right, and this has one because that's negative.
Because it was a negative.
Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting what was a negative.
Come on, you're okay, good clarification. Oh yeah, you did on perfect. So you don't have to write the whole list natural, you just write an I, the letter I to symbolize that. I'll be right there, guys. I know a lot of you guys have questions on this one, but you're doing great. Can you take the square root of 4 since you made it positive? So your final answer, you can write it as 6 plus or minus 2i. That last one has a square root, so it's a little bit. I was gonna say, if you guys are like, you wanna check it too, actually just put them up
Is
there.
it +4?
Was it a positive 4 in the bottom? Yeah. That's it. Or that +4 would just go under a bar.
Oh, not my fast.
Oh man, thanks Ashley. I'm gonna check with them over here. If you want to use them. That's perfect. And what about over here? So then that one they gave. Yep. And then you just put a little eye on the outside. Good job. You got it. You're rocking it. And you only have to do that as a negative. Okay.
I love it.
Great work. Very good. If you feel comfortable still typing her, I can check your answer.
No.
For you two, you want me to look at them? Looks like you got the setup. Can you plug that in your calculator and see what you get?
Is after I plug that in, that's it. Oh.
That's right. Negative 188. That's right. Just make it a positive. Let me see. 6 squared minus 4. Is this how you typed it?
Yeah.
Did you put a minus or a negative?
I put it on.
So this button right here? You did? Okay. Mine came as -4. You want to show me how you typed it? We'll just make sure that it's your calculator, not being weird. Oh, and I showed you that thing. I can show you. Jay, do you mind if I checked the movements number 7 and 8? Could you perhaps check with me about it? Oh, well, I know you got it right. I just want to make sure you guys got it right. They borrow your paper, we kind of back then, and they are wondering about it. You don't have to feel like you have to explain it, but then they can see where you just have really nice penmanship, and mine's not great. Did you guys get the same? No?
Negative 54.
Okay, let me look. Oh, don't put the square root sign in there. Just do the stuff under the square root.
Okay.
Because when you put the square root, it's just taking the square root of that, but that's a big square root sign. So just do the part under the square root
Okay.
and see what you get.
Yeah, I took a marker and I also
Hold up a second. You didn't have to erase your line. But
That was the
was
point.
it? Hey, Matt, will you check Taylor, make sure he's got it?
Yeah.
He needs the last stuff that I showed you. How's it going? It's a team. I think with you, it was, oh, you erased it, so I can't remember. That should be 40, so it's a -4 under the radical. You didn't get it completely wrong.
I forgot. I know.
So when you make it a +4, since it has an I, you can't like Oh, okay. You got it? You explained the last step already?
Yep, yeah, she explained it.
So since 4 has square root of 2, that is too high. Or an I.
Everything else.
We need to have a you don't have a square root of 9 anymore. It's what's the square root of 4? You don't have a square root. So anyways, that's where I write 2 lines. As long as it's not like I squared with 4. Yeah.
Go.
What do you get that one? So you start it up right. And then you get 4 times the
The mountain is back, I'm trying to get rid of it, but
Yeah, you guys are good to go. Sorry, I kind of lost track of shit.
Have a good lunch.
Thank you. I don't think I got it. Oh, because it's 100 minus 280.
not really, just from doing
Yeah,
back
that's
bends for so many years. Bottom of my back hurts.
So it'd be a negative.
Yeah, did you know that this one was?
I can see that.
I don't think.
No offense, actually, but I could, what? No offense to you, Ashley, but I could not, I would have never expected like to do this splits.
Yeah, no problem. You're good. I know those are a little tricky, so they're all kind of a little.
I'll let you look here.
And I forget to mark anything here. Make sure I do that during lunch. Oh, man is tired.